Welcome to week 7 of the DenCo Gridiron Show. We are live from Hickory Street right here in the Denton County, right in downtown Denton. This is the DenCo Gridiron Show. Coming up next. Lee.
Yes, sir.
What time is it? It's 101 and
time.
Oklahoma still sucks.
Dang. Should have saw that one coming.
Oh, man. It is Texas OU week.
Dang.
I even changed my home screen because usually I have like the weather and it automatically adjusts and everything based on what the weather's doing outside. But I had to do the whole backdrop of
for the
Texas OU Red River rivalry. We've gone back to that acronym now. I still prefer when it was called the shootout just because the logo incorporation in the Texas Longhorn had as the V and then OU close inside of that shootout part. It was a fantastic logo. It was like back in the late 90s or whatever.
I just remember Red River. I remember Red River rivalry.
That came after.
That's always been like my memory.
And then it became Showdown, which I didn't like. It was too corporate looking and everything. I hate all the corporate looking little graphics.
It's got a lot of AT&T in it, and then
yes.
I love Red River rivalry. I don't know.
Alliteration.
I like it. I don't know. I think it sounds good.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. We are in our beautiful studio here on the Denton Square. It is week 7, the 2023 season. We are quickly approaching playoffs. After this week, we'll have 4 weeks of regular season action left. And then next week, we'll be at the official halfway point of the full season when you include the playoffs. So it's crazy. Stephen Peters here, managing editor of the DenCo Gridiron platform. To my right, the audience's left, we have Lee Livingston.
Hi.
I dropped the wrong one. Consarn it. I meant to do the applause. It was. I don't know. I forgot which one's which on this one. I meant to do the clap. Sorry, man. I'll get you back later.
That was intentional.
Follow us on the socials at DenCo Gridiron. That's on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can always email us as well at info@DenCoGridiron.com. Nate, Mr. Terrell's father, I own you a response because I saw your email. It was quite lengthy. I just have not read it yet. I just saw it yesterday. So I owe you were in a response, but I appreciate you reaching out to us there. And then, of course, you can follow us on our individual platforms. Lee has been doing a lot of video drops lately. I love the content, especially the UGO / whatever anime style lightning strikes.
That was I try to incorporate a little bit of After Effects in those little short videos.
No, they're looking good, man, and it's getting a lot of traction. So you keep doing you, boo. It's great.
Trying to get them out there.
At Lee Livingston 13 on Instagram and Twitter. I am Speeders on just Twitter. I do have an Instagram just because I wanted to get on the Threads, which is the same handle at I am Speeders, but I do not do anything on Instagram. So just Twitter mainly. All right, man. It's that time. Let's get to it.
That's right. It's time for the news and notes. And if you saw the new graphic,
I didn't.
It's
Tell me.
Well, it's the School of Rock. Happy birthday to the wonderful movie. It's an American classic. It's a classic all around the world. It's the 20th birthday, 20th anniversary. Yesterday was technically the 20th anniversary of that movie. I love it. It's great because
can I drop a little nugget on you?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
So
I'm a late Jack Black bloomer. I don't know why. Like his early stuff just seemed kind of over the top annoying. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. That one didn't really appeal to me. But I've also, if I can clarify or quantify that statement with, I've also never seen any of the Indiana Jones movies, and it took me 30 plus years to see any of the Star Wars movies. So.
Everything you just said is like depressing to me.
I'm just
as someone who's growing up.
But I grew up a Trekkie fan, so like
that's fine. I love Star Trek too. I have all of the movies. I have all the original movies on Blu-ray.
I planted my flag on the Star Trek side, and I was ready to go to battle against anybody who said that Star Wars was better than Star Trek.
I don't care if you pick one or the other. They're all great.
Sir, you cannot fence it in this day and age. You have to claim your stake at something.
Wrath of Khan's one of the best sci-fi movies ever made.
Absolutely. Although I did not like how the new set bastardized.
That was
awful.
I enjoyed it when I was a kid, when I first saw it, because it was just a cool looking movie, and J.J. Abrams can make cool looking stuff. I like the first movie he made, and the third one
it was fantastic. But the Into Darkness was terrible.
No, I rewatched it when I was a little older, and I was like, oh no, this is not,
because they just bastardized like the whole plot premise with Khan. Like, we didn't have any setup with him prior to him saying, "I am Khan." I'm like,
no, like.
Are we just doing homage? Is that all you are now, J.J. Abrams, is homage hitting? So, anywho,
it was a bit of a bummer. All right,
news and notes. All right, so we happy birthday to an inanimate object, the movie. Congratulations on seeing 20 years. You'll be old enough to drink next year. All right, so news and notes around the area. Only 2 teams still ranked in the DCTF/AP state polls. That's Byron Nelson. They are undefeated, as well as Lone Star, not undefeated, but are ranked in the 5AD1 poll, top 10, because they only go 10 for that one. Lee, tell us this next one. You break it down.
What was the...
Whoa, you're not on there. We have a quick programming note for everybody. So there will be no show this Saturday. Lee has chosen to go to Austin, right into the hotbed of enemy territory, to watch Texas OU.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm gonna be down there, painted red. You're gonna go on the
Capitol and just start waving your flag, the OU flag on the Capitol.
Just after OU wins,
Mayfield on them.
Yeah, I'm gonna plant an Oklahoma flag right there. It's gonna be incredible.
Hey, it's 108.
I'll be down.
It's 108. And Oklahoma still sucks. Anywho, you'll be down there for what?
Austin city limits. Go down there, see some friends I haven't seen in a while. Go see the Foo Fighters on Saturday, Kendrick Lamar on Friday, I think is what the plan is. I'm not sure. I'm just down there for the vibes.
For the vibes. Okay, yeah. Well, just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do it 3 times. And then next Wednesday, ironically, I will be down in Austin. Like, we're gonna switch places.
Actually, I think I'm gonna be down there a second weekend in a row for work.
Really?
Yeah.
So we might have a Saturday show.
We will have a Saturday show. All right. So the good news is I won't be leaving. So, all right.
No Saturday show this week.
No Saturday show this week. We'll have, I think, a Wednesday show the following week.
We will not, because I will be traveling.
Yeah, you're traveling. All right. So no Saturday show this Saturday. No Wednesday show.
It's our bye week. Week 8 is our bye week.
I will be at football games on Thursday and Friday, and then I'll be able to do a live chat show on Saturday and everything, because I don't have to travel back to Austin until the evening.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so we'll be back to doing our normal live show stuff the following Saturday.
Okay, so, very good. So yeah, we'll be recapping Week 8's games on Saturday the
13th or 14th. The 14th. Yeah, so the 14th we'll be back to doing our normal live show.
Yeah, he and I are going to talk a bunch of on text of the Texas OU game, so that's why we do not want to broadcast on Saturday. No, he's going to Austin City Limits. Yep. That'll be fun. I doubt you'll be awake in time to even have been prepared for the.
I don't know. You know what? I love the Foo Fighters. I love rock and roll, and that's what Saturday, from what I understand, it's just a bunch of rock. I'm trying to get there as early as I can. I want to be right there in front of the stage. I want to get my eardrum. I want Dave Grohl right in my face. I want it right there.
Pause.
I want him screaming.
All right, so there you have it. The next 2 days that we would normally broadcast, we are not going to be on. So October 14th is our next broadcast after today. All right, moving on to our weekly award winners. We've got 4 on offense, 4 on defense. On offense, it's very RB focused. First off, ironically not an RB, but Isaac Harney, quarterback for Geyer. This was published on Monday. So if you want to go to DenCoGridiron.com and see our latest droppings, you can check this out there. Ife Durodue, I always butcher this name, but I will see him actually on Thursday. Running back for Northwest. Tristan Airy, who scored all the touchdowns possible last week for Reedy. He had 6 of them of their 7. And then Isaiah Kelekipi, the running back for Marcus, who had a big game, especially the game, not game winning, but the game sealing touchdown run from 45 yards out against Flower Mound. To defense, we got Brandon Garcia, the linebacker from Denton, who had a monster game for them, and they're huge win over Independence. Xavier Rodriguez was all over the field with 17 tackles. I think he had a blocked field goal, just a stud for Lake Dallas last week. Jeremiah Harper and Aubrey's beatdown of Gainesville. And then Cooper Reynolds. We mentioned this on Saturday, the DB for Ponder. On top of having some a good output on offense, he also racked up 3 tackles and 3 interceptions, which put him at 7 for the year, and that is the single season record over at Ponder. So congratulations to those 8 gentlemen. All right, moving forward, we've got 5 teams on a bye this week. That would be 5, 6A is all on a bye this week. It includes Braswell, Geyer, and Little Elm. I kind of don't like when full districts take a week off. I get it from a scheduling standpoint. I just don't like it because last week and this week, and if you look across like the state, it's not a great slate of games.
Yeah, I do like it from the perspective of it feels more fair competition wise. Sure. And then the only downside is I wish if you're gonna do something like this, organize it in a way where the districts that are going to play each other in like the opening rounds of the playoffs are taking bye weeks at like similar times, just from a competition standpoint. Because it feels like because if you're 6A, it's like you had a bye week really early, and 5-6A is like 3 weeks, a few weeks later. So those teams might be a little fresher in some sense. So it's like,
and I'm sure there's a lot more logistics that we're not discussing privy to that go into those decisions. Yeah. All right. So that's 3: Braswell, Geyer, and Little Elm. The other 2 are Denton High and Frisco Legacy are off this week. All right, Lee, it's your favorite time of the week.
It's time for. I thought we were going right into I forgot. I'm so not right. I just ready to skip that one.
Yeah. So trivia.
God dang it.
Trivia time.
It's like, yes.
Oh,
breaking down games.
We are going to break down games here, but I want to do trivia time with you just to see how well you pay attention to our area teams.
I knew this was on the show doc. I just wanted to skip it.
I know you did. I know you did. You're about to play me out. Do it live. All right. So name one of the 4 teams or games that have a 98% chance of winning this week. What are those 4 teams that have a 98% chance of winning? There's 4 of them, so just name one.
98% chance of winning.
And of course, these numbers are brought to us by Massey Ratings.
Let's go Frisco, Reedy over Lebanon Trail.
Ooh, did you look on the website?
Me? No, I'm just
very good.
I got the schedule up.
Where is it? There you go. Hey, see, I told you I'd get it. I was always going to play the John one.
And then I will take.
I just needed one.
Oh, you just needed one?
If you want to keep going,
I'll take the second one. I'm gonna guess is Lone Star versus Centennial. That's my second guess. I don't know if that's even. Is it Nelson over Haltom?
No, okay. Sir. That's close. So the previous one was 96. That one was 97.
Is it gonna be Liberty Christian? No, over Fort Christian. Yeah, I'll take that one.
It is
like it'd be pretty high.
95%.
So it's all right. We're close.
You're close. All right. So there are 4 games this week featuring DenCo Gridiron teams that have a 98% probability. Louisville is one of them over Plano West at 98%.
I thought about throwing that one out there.
You already said
I thought it was going to have gone down. I would have thought it would be a little bit lower after losing last week.
Yeah, but Plano West is kind of bad.
I know.
And then you have Northwest over Saginaw, 98%.
Oh, okay.
And then Wakeland over Frisco Liberty. So you were close on the Liberty name, but it is Wakeland over Liberty, and then that's the 4. Those are the 4. Okay. And then you already mentioned Reedy and Lebanon Trail. Okay. Second question. You're 1 for 1. Can you go 100%? What area game has the lowest probability percentage
of winning? Correct.
It's just probability. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's who has the lowest
What's
chance of winning
we're
this
looking.
week.
So we're looking for the tightest game, essentially. All right.
Yup.
Uh, hmm. I kind of, I want to throw this out there. I think it's gonna be Ryan and Centennial.
Oh, so close yet so far away. That one is trending at 67% in Ryan's favor. So the other one, the one that has the lowest probability of winning, that is Pilot Point, is favored over Ponder, ironically, who has not had a very good season, but they are favored. And I'll double check myself, but I'm pretty sure it was Ponder and Pilot Point. Ponder, when I look on Massey ratings, yes, 57% chance in favor of Pilot Point. They are 5.5 point favorites over Ponder. So that's
I knew Centennial from like a couple of the places I saw. It was like
DCTF has them as a point favor. As a point spread.
It was a real. I mean, it was super tight. So a couple of places I saw Centennial and I just assumed that game's gonna be super tight. And I kind of think like we'll talk about some other games later that I think could be pretty tight as well. So it's like
for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not gonna be upset.
Now it is your favorite time of the week.
All righty, folks. That means all right, now we get to break down some games.
Let's break down some games, man. Get into it.
All righty. So first on our list, we're going to talk a little bit about some important games, some games that you should just be paying attention to. There was a lot on the slate this week that I think everyone should kind of pay attention to just because there's a lot of games I think that have a lot of impact in their districts.
Yeah, absolutely.
What could be happening this week.
That's why we're in the best time of the year. We have all district games going now. Nobody is playing we will have one game here and there that is non-district in the middle of it, which kind of dumb. Just have the open week. Don't sprinkle in. Anywho, but yeah, we're going to get a lot of playoff implications this week, next week, and the week after are going to be a lot of I think shifting around in terms of standings, and it starts this week with Frisco Panther Creek. Shocker, they're playing again, and they're in a very important game against Dallas Carter.
Yeah, that particular district has a few. This is gonna be back 3 straight weeks in that district where there's some really big games in Panther Creek, back-to-back weeks in 2 of them. Dallas Carter, Panther Creek. This game's just really big for Panther Creek in particular because if they win this game, either way, whichever team wins this game is going to have a chance to.
Yes. So you hear about this, right?
What?
The national alert test that was going to be happening this week?
No, did not.
Yeah. So FEMA was testing all phones this week, all phones for just emergency preparedness to make sure the system works. So that's a national alert that you couldn't opt out of. That was going to have, I thought it was supposed to happen. Maybe it was 2 Eastern, but yeah, that's what that was.
Oh, okay. Well, I had no idea that was even happening. I thought that was just an Amber Alert that I didn't turn off.
No, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System.
Okay. Well,
fun.
That was an interesting thing to have.
Okay. So you were saying,
so this is just a big game in this district, Panther Creek. This feels like a game where either team, whoever wins, I do think has a chance to win this district because when I was looking at Salina's their scores actually recently, I thought they were like this invincible team maybe, and whoever won this game was going to be like, okay, they can go get second place in the district or whatever. I think there's a chance whoever wins this game could actually beat Salina just because there are some chinks in the Salina armor, and particularly for Panther Creek's benefit, it's that they've given up a lot of points in some games, right? Like, and they almost lost to Walnut Grove, who's a 1-5 team. It's a newer high school.
Yeah, they're playing an outlaw schedule, and this first year is varsity.
This is not a knock. I'm not trying to knock Salina and say they're not the state title contending team, but at the end of the season, Panther Creek and Salina could be really, really, really big if Panther Creek comes out here and knocks off Carter and takes them out of contention for that district title. So that's why this game I think needs to be circled, highlighted, really focused on if you're somebody that loves high school football, because by the end of the season, we might have all eyes on Panther Creek Salina
On November
unless
2nd.
Salina, unless Salina just all of a sudden is beating everyone 72-0, like they kind of have in the last couple of weeks. There are some. I just want to point out there are chinks in that Salina armor that, going back and looking at, they are a team that is beatable. Like they don't quite. It was surprised me when I went back and looked at it.
But I think you can say the same thing about Panther Creek.
Oh yeah, they're not.
When we watched them last week, we saw just how much they got pushed around up front, which is kind of alarming. And Salina is a ground and pound team.
Yes. And Carter is as well, if I'm not
mistaken. They are
right?
as well, for sure. They have, I think, 3 guys, maybe 4 guys that they rely on. They have one who's over 600 yards rushing, I believe, for the season.
Sounds right.
Yeah. And a couple others who are, have a couple $100 yards on the year. But yeah, they are definitely a trenched base team, and then they will sprinkle in those opportunistic passes. So as we noted here in our notes, this could be outside of the Emerson game. This could be the biggest test to date for Panther Creek. Yeah. And it's going to come down to how well they hold their own up front. I think the offensive line will be fine against a very sturdy Carter defensive line. My worry is just that front 4, front 3, whatever they want to run out there, and then the linebackers. Can they plug holes and not get pushed back 2 or 3 yards almost every run play? Their quarterback is a dual threat. He's one of those that have a couple 100 yards rushing on the year. So if he pulls it because they're crashing too much inside on the running back, it's going to leave those corners wide open, which is what we saw last week with Wilmer Hutchins. So
and so like with Wilmer Hutchins, the quarterback coming in, he played a little bit more. He had some efficient, like we talked about. He had been efficient in that short passing game.
Yep.
I was going through some of the footage, obviously, when I'm making my edits, and that's when I really get to like watch the game, is going through my edits and stuff, because I'm staring through a little LCD screen or at my phone, whatever it is, I'm looking through. And even going through edits, I'm not really watching the game quite like you are in a box or whatever. It's like I'm not taking.
Yeah, you have a different vantage point. Like yours is more of like scoping out the intensity of the action. I'm looking at it from an all 22 perspective.
Yeah, it's very, very different. But going through it, like I noticed one thing. The Hutchins quarterback, he does have a very good arm. If he can rein in some throw, like he had one throw where his chest is like pointed to the sideline. He's running to the opposite direction. I don't know how he threw it looked like he flicked his wrist and threw it 40 yards. Is one of those impressive things I've seen from a high school quarterback in a while, just in terms of the arm power. Wasn't super accurate throwing downfield. They did try to stretch the field. He just wasn't accurate enough when they needed him to throw 30, 40 yards, and they needed those 30, 40 yard passes later in the second half because they were down 20 points. So they weren't able to do what they were doing in the first half when the game was a lot tighter. Those short check downs, screen passes, where they're getting the ball to all those really quick wideouts. And Dallas Carter, I think they have a little bit better quarterback play. So
for sure. I think what also kind of helps benefit Panther Creek is that they didn't have an extraordinary game from Braxton Roberts, and they didn't get any touchdowns from their wide receivers. It was all ground touchdowns. Seth Jackson. Braxton did have a rushing touchdown, and then Centel Simpson, I believe, had one.
Yeah, and so did Seth Jackson. They had 3 guys.
So they were able to establish themselves via the run. And the other game that we saw against Aubrey, it was all pass, right? Yeah. So we're seeing a good balance in terms of how they win. Now you're going against tougher competition.
Yeah,
Carter.
I don't think the offense is where I think they'll be able to physically compete.
No, I'm not saying that I'm worried about the offense. What I'm saying is like there's now we're seeing that they can, if need be, if they take away Trickett, if they take away the other wideouts or the skill position players, they can use the ground game to compete and put themselves in position to score and win.
Even better, I think, is that
plus
ground game. That ground game might set up some play action. I think that could be a problem for some teams. All right, I think it's we've talked about Panther Creek a ton here in the last couple of weeks, and it's just because
we'll be talking about them next week too.
Yeah, it's just like we said, it's just one of those. It just happens to be one of those things where this district is really, really interesting, and we're gonna have the same thing happen here with Argyle and that district. Here in the next 2-3 weeks, where we're gonna be talking about that a lot. All right, next game on the slate that we're gonna be talking about here for a little bit: Van Alstyne at Aubrey. They came out hot here in district play. Like we said, Aubrey started the season 0-4. What's going on in Aubrey? Who knows? They have come out to play in district just like we talked about.
We imagined that was going to happen, just kind of based
like,
on the analytics that we were seeing in terms of like what their probability of winning was for the district, and they were still projected to be an undefeated district champ. Of course, you start 0-4, you're like, well, are they that much better than the rest of their district opponents? And here we are in the second week where this is a big rivalry matchup between Van Alstyne and Aubrey. It's been lopsided the last few years. And this will essentially decide the district title. I can't see any other team. I don't believe in Farmersville. I don't believe in, who else is it for? Crum, Sanger. I mean, no offense to those guys. I think they're just still cut below of what Aubrey is, and they've shown it the last 2 weeks. Maybe those two teams, well, we know Bridgeport wasn't that great. They were 0-5 at the time. But beating Gainesville the way they did, they were 4-1, undefeated in the district as well. So they put it to them. And so I think we've seen that Aubrey's still the class of that district in 5-4A D1 2. Yeah,
I think you're right. They're still that top dog in that district. They've kind of asserted themselves again. They just reasserted themselves, I think is the better way to put it. It's not that they, were like, oh, we're gonna sort of they're the top dog. I don't think there's any better way to put it. Like, they came out, they beat someone by a lot to open up district play. And then
Bridgeport.
Bridgeport. I forget you mentioned it already.
It's okay.
And then Van Alstyne, obviously they got a couple wins here early. They beat Crum in a somewhat tight game as 26-14, and then they smoked Sanger. But Sanger, we talked about before, is struggling right now. They've got a new coaching staff, though, a lot of young players out there.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those wins where I'm like, oh no, like this could be a really tight game. So this is not, again, to not knock any of the teams in that particular district. It's just like you said, there's a tier difference in one of those things. I think that's like a trend we'll kind of see here in this particular show, is we're going to be talking a little bit about tiers between teams and teams that are going to look to make a jump to that next level and are, and show themselves as like something else than what most people view them as.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I expect Aubrey to still win, even though the margin of victory for the last year was closer than it's been in recent years. I still think Aubrey is just that team right now in the district. And so otherwise, I mean, I can't remember the last time they lost a district matchup, probably before a year ago, not last year, the year prior. Maybe not. They've had a lot of wins lately, which is what I'm trying to say. And I think we're just showing that
maybe this being on the road and could be a factor. I don't know what Van Alstyne's home field is necessarily like. I don't know how long the trip is for these guys.
It's not very long. I think the interesting takeaways when I was going through stats finally for all the games this past week is how they got Brock Temple back there at quarterback again. I don't know if the Brumley experiment is over or what the deal was, if Temple was just injured and whatnot, but he went 8 for 8 for 200 some odd yards.
Oh, well, that's huge.
Yeah. And so if that passing game is finally activated a little bit, and it's not a huge passing game, we're not talking about dropping back 25, 30 times and trying to disperse it across 14 different receivers. They are what they are. They're a running team. But if you're able to sprinkle in and be effective in your passing game, it causes opponents to have to be honest, as opposed to loading the box with 10 to 11 players.
Yeah. And that's massive for them, just to have any sort of passing game. Like you said, it unlocks everything for them, I think, in just some way, shape, or form. And most importantly, if they're trailing by more than 7 points, they can get back into a game.
Yeah.
Because like when we saw them playing Panther Creek, it was over. Like, it's like they were down by a touchdown and it felt over, which was really kind of a bummer to see, because it's a really talented team. You can see they have really good athletes out there. It's just like there's nowhere to get the ball to them outside of pitching it backwards or handing it off, which is just not what you want to do or what you can do in a game where you're trailing.
You for sure. Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna take a real quick break here.
Everything's bigger in Texas, especially Texas high school football. We're entering our 7th season with the DenCo Gridiron platform. We started this 7 years ago, right across the street at West Oak Coffee Bar. Just an idea to bring content directly wherever you are. Be a part of the community. Join us. Help our contributors to tell the stories each and every Friday night throughout the season. Talking your town, your team.
All right, on to our next game. It's going to be what might be the tightest game, I think, by all the Massey metrics and stuff that you like looking at and stuff, and even just kind of on paper or just looking through their schedule. Ryan versus Centennial, a big game. Ryan lost last year, going to be coming out looking for revenge.
Yeah, and this one I will be attending. Since you are not going to be in town, well, you are in town, but are you leaving Friday night?
I leave tomorrow.
Oh, you leave tomorrow.
Yep.
Well then. So since you wouldn't be accompanying me, I took a freelance opportunity with the Star Telegram for this one. So I will be there, and I'll be interested to see how Ryan reacts to a team that is predominantly ground and pound. They didn't do well last year, even with the 5-star Anthony Hill, in play. I think he was actually maybe injured a little bit at this time last year. Anywho, I want to see just how they're able to handle that, because they are very opportunistic in their passing attempts, but they rely heavily on the run. They lost on the road last year to Burleson Centennial on the way to falling to 3rd place, I believe. And this started a 2-3 stretch to end the season. They lost 2 in a row. It was this one and Aledo. Then I believe they beat the Colony, Northwest, and one of those other really bad Fort Worth area schools, and then lost to Red Oak to end the season. So this will be a really interesting game. If Ryan's front on offense can protect Hobbs like they weren't able to against the Colony, then I think they're set up for more success. And if they can contain the run game, they should have some success against Burleson Centennial. But Burleson Centennial is really good, and they could easily knock off Ryan at home.
Yeah, this is the thing for Ryan, like we talked about like you've already mentioned with the running game. They gave up 115 yards to the Colony, that rushing attack there. And in that particular game, a lot of it came in the second half. It was not like the Colony was out there rushing the ball for 60 yards in the first half. The majority of that came in the second half. I don't know the exact number of yardage in the second half, but a lot of the offensive yards for the Colony was in that second half when they kind of made their comeback.
Well, and inversely, Ryan's offense sputtered. Like they had 116 yards at the half, which isn't a lot, but they only had 95 in the second half and could not sustain drives or get into scoring position to make it what am I trying to say? To expand or keep their lead. And then we saw in the last play, they were trying to come back and they couldn't do it because the front,
let them down a couple of times in the red zone there in that second half.
Yep.
And even in the first half, one of their touchdowns was about a 40-yard touchdown completion to Brady Mussett.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a long touchdown. So I think there's some concern for Ryan. There's definitely some concern for Ryan here because we want to see them. I want to see a little bit more of a clinical, efficient offense rather than something that's reliant on a big play or something. It's just get into the red zone, be efficient, and don't rely on those 40-yard touchdowns. And
yeah, for sure. Because we've seen Ryan get bullied by ground game teams.
We saw it with
the Colony,
New
Braunfels to start this season this year, and they came back and won. And then last year, it was the exact same setup where Ryan builds a lead. Fourth quarter, here comes New Braunfels, and they take the lead late. And then this year, they just had a little bit more mojo with them to flip the script. But twice now we've seen it happen. So hopefully
they go out there and we just see Ryan play 4 quarters of Ryan football, because if they do that, they're a tough team to beat with all the talent they have, and that they just play really good football. They just got to do it for 4 quarters, and that's really as simple as it is for. Yeah,
I think offensively, I think this is the last point I'll make is offensively, kind of how you just mentioned it. You want to see a more
efficient.
I wouldn't necessarily efficient offense. I want to see a more cohesive offense.
Okay, that's a good.
So you don't have to rely on those 40-yard touchdown passes. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to sustain drives and hold the ball for 8 to 9 to 10 plays, as opposed to going, 1-yard run, 3-yard run, 40-yard touchdown. Just that type of look is what I want to see out of Ryan for this one, because they're going to need it against Centennial. They can't just rely on the big play.
Alrighty, so on to our last game before we talk about our game of the week is going to be Capel and Marcus. Did not see this game having nearly as much importance behind it as it does right now because both teams are undefeated in district. So this is huge. If you're a fan of any 6-6A team, this might be the district title game essentially. Like it right now, they're both undefeated, and Marcus, as Coach Alexander said in our interview, they've been getting better every week. And I think you just kind of go through, the stats or whatever, box scores. Like they are playing better every single week. And watching them last week, comparing that to what they did with Hebron a week ago, like it wasn't where they had to come back or something. Like they held on to that lead and they fought off the Jags at the very end of the game. They didn't give up that lead. So I was pretty impressed that they didn't. Like they had a mistake there at the end with the onside kick, and then some unblown coverage there, and one part of it. But
that's part of that defensive team still learning. I mean, they were they're still a young team, and a new coaching staff and program and ideology and all that stuff with Mike Alexander coming from Grapevine. So the first 3 weeks, those were tough games. It was really tough. You have Highland Park, South Lake Carroll, and Euless Trinity, stalwarts within the state, giving up 50 some odd points a game. But the last two weeks, I would honestly only say the last 7 quarters. So you're talking about the second half and overtime of the Hebron game where they came back and won, and then the 4 quarters against Flower Mound, a much different team that we've seen out there. Because we talked about it last week that Marcus could have rolled over, being down 20-7 to Hebron, and looking ahead to the Mound Showdown, but they were poised and came back and won. This one, different story. They held their poise even though Flower Mound was chipping away, and were able to execute defensively on that 2-point conversion, and then get the game clinching touchdown from Kelly Keepy. So this I would not have guessed ever in a million years that Capel and Marcus would be 2-0 at this time of the year. I thought for sure Louisville was the creme de la creme of the district. They would have rolled Capel, and this one would be a team. Maybe Marcus would be 0-2. They'd still be winless. Capel will be 1-1, and it's a nothing really kind of game. Now, like you kind of said, this I wouldn't necessarily say it's a district title. I think we're going to see a lot of bruising and destroying one another in this district when it's all said and done. But right now, it feels like it's a highly important game. I think pretty sure these two teams would be in Division. No, Capel would probably be in Division 1 and Marcus would be Division 2. I had to break out
off the top of my head. I think that's what sounds. The Plano schools are usually Division 1.
So Louisville's the biggest.
And then Louisville's the biggest, and there's a couple. I think one of the Plano schools is usually Division 1.
It just depends on who makes it.
Confusing.
I'm ready for 6A to split to Division 1, Division 2, or get a 7A or whatever the case might be. But it's good to see that all conceived notions as after you started the season have pretty much been washed away by 2 vastly different wins, but very important wins for Marcus.
It's like we said, it's like 2 different teams in some ways. The only concerns I have for Marcus kind of going into this game are going to be they did give up some big chunk plays. That was the biggest problem for them, I think, in the Jaguar game or in that Mound Showdown. And Edward Griffin for Capel, I mean, he's cooking right now. This dude was 82% passing with over 300 yards last week against a Louisville secondary that is very, very good.
So one of the most vaunted in the area. I mean, that's not just our area.
This is not just a dude that's been. He's been playing good. He played great last week. This is not a fluke. This guy's like 70+% passing on the season, averaging almost 300 yards a game. Like he's playing great. So that secondary is going to have to come out and play a little bit better than they have here in the last few weeks. Now, good thing for Marcus, they've gotten pressure to the quarterback here and there in the last couple of weeks. They've made some plays there, so they might be able to get a little pressure. You might see the defense come out, I think, and maybe try to blitz a little bit more, try to mix something. I don't know. I don't know. I think they may try to just mix something up and just try to.
You're going to have to play a mixed defense because
they're going to have to just do something different because I don't think they can afford to give Edward Griffin too much time back there.
I don't disagree because
So-
that the secondary is their weakest point, I
Yeah.
believe, on the defense. And Carrot Grinning is a great athlete and everything like that, but he needs a lot of help. Their front is pretty good, so they're going to have to bring Brock Galwaz up in support of a pass rush, as well as dropping him and making him that true tweener linebacker safety. But yeah, they're going to have to play a varied defense because that I think Capel could easily do what the first 3 teams of this season did to Marcus if they're not careful.
Now, having said all that, the good thing for Marcus right now is they're getting some pretty good play out of Dame Parlin the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Gonzalez, is it the receiver that I'm trying to think of, number 6?
AJ Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Or Rhett Garza.
Rhett Garza,
yeah.
He's been the two of them have been clicking late as of late, and Ethan Terrell didn't play the best game because he had 2 interceptions. Outside of the 2 interceptions, solid game for Ethan Terrell in terms of he was able to throw the ball around. So I think Dame Parlin can do the same thing and have just a pretty decent game. The biggest note is Byron Ellison ran the ball 10 times at 146 yards. This Capel offense does give up the defense. They give up rushing yards. Like they're not,
and that's what Marcus does.
And that is what Marcus is. They want to run the football.
Yeah, led by Isaiah, and then they have a few. Yeah, Kelly and a few others.
I mean, you had Kelly with 200 yards last week and 3 rushing touchdowns. They had a few other guys around close like 50 yards. I mean, they had almost 300 yards, I think, as a team rushing last week. And
yeah,
I mean, this is a
Marcus
team
can establish that for sure. It keeps them competitive. It's just you got to worry about the secondary. And
I'll worry about the secondary, and that's the only fear is if they're giving up, if Capel's able to go out there and score in 30 seconds every time. Now this is where the Marauders, it's like, hey, they might be able to go out and control the clock, and if they can just get some stops a little bit, they may be able to just keep that offense for the Cowboys off the field. So it's an interesting game. I think this is I think Marcus has a very good chance to go out here, and if they can just play some defensive strategy is going to be big for them. Like however they want to mix things up, and if they can get a turnover or 2, just some big plays on that defense. It doesn't have to be a perfect night for them on defense, but if they can get a turnover, massive for them. If they can just force 1 turnover,
1-to-1, I don't think they can win. They have to flip something somewhere.
Just special teams is also going to be big for them in this game. You cannot. I don't think they can afford. They're an offense. They're a team. When you play like that run get heavy type of game, we saw them making a special teams error last week with that onside kick where I don't know what they were doing with that.
Marcus alignment. Yeah,
it was that weird alignment. You can't do that in this game. I think with that kind of offense, if it's a tight game at the end, and let's say Capel kicks an onside, you got to have that stuff because this offense is too good.
I'm sure Mike Alexander, coach.
He knows that.
They zeroed in on this. It's like, hey guys, go get the ball. We can touch it before 10 yards.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like
it's just a mental error. I mean, it's hard when you have a younger team that is still trying to gel and everything.
And that's the thing that's fun about Marcus right now to me is like they're a young team, and it's like I can't wait to see what they're doing in the future
next year, like, the year after.
I'm so excited to see the Marauders in the future, man. Same with the Flower Mound team.
Yeah,
they're also young. A lot of these we've got a lot of teams in this area that are young that we cover that are kind of playing above what I thought they would be for a young team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm super pumped.
You couldn't have given me any kind of money to bet on us having this thorough and excited of a discussion about Marcus football this year. With half of the team essentially transferring out over the summer, I figured this was a lost season. And right now they're contending. So shout out to the Marauders. All right, so we want to mention a couple other games before we get into our DenCo Gridiron game of the week. Cross county games. This is a 5-4A battle. Crum and Sanger, both teams winless in district. I feel like Crum is the little bit of a favorite here. We saw them briefly against Ponder. They played well. They ultimately didn't come out and win, but I think they have a leg up in term against Sanger just based off of the players and the person and the coaches. That cohesion and being together for more than just one off season. Sanger's had some rough go of it. We've had
feels like a roller coaster ride this season. Like it's just a consistency thing for them. If they can just find that consistency thing and get hot going into the right at the end of the season, get into the playoffs. Like I still believe in the Bobcats to go wreak havoc. And
Yeah.
they have the players, they have the quarterback.
Yeah, with
they
Ty
have,
Tabor and everybody.
They have the most important parts of the team that you need to be really good at. I think they have. And it's just a consistency thing between the quarterback play and a little bit of I think it's the defensive line.
Yeah.
They haven't quite had some, but I think they've got it. And I want to see them get hot.
And this is why this game is so important for both teams. You get that one win for district play to start. I mean, now, okay, so then you're looking at maybe taking the place of Bridgeport, who is 1-1 right now. Farmersville, they're 0-1. So if you can leapfrog a couple of teams, you're then putting yourself into the driver's seat of a playoff spot. This is why this game is very important for both teams. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what the results show here. And the other cross-county game that we haven't mentioned yet, and there's another one after, that's our game of the week that we'll talk about, is Ponder versus Pilot Point. Pilot Point, as we mentioned earlier, is the favorite of this one. Kind of shocking, to be honest. Ponder has won, I think, twice. They're 2-3, and Pilot Point is 0-5. There has to be some carryover from last year, I guess, when Ponder or Pilot Point was a much better team than Ponder. I see this being more of a Ponder win and getting their first district win, because really it's going to be a race to who's that fourth spot. It's Ponder, Peaster, Pilot Point, and Boyd, all winless in district, all looking for their first win. And if you get one or two district wins under your belt, you're pretty much golden for that fourth playoff spot.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Eileen. This is a Ponder, should be a Ponder win, just because it's just Pilot Points. They're 0-5, and we talked about it before. It's an all new coaching staff, and my coach Alexander talked about how hard it was coming in the spring. They spent most of spring football trying to find staff, bring those guys, and you're trying to get everyone to gel and stuff. Pilot Point was doing that
midsummer,
3 weeks into before the season, it felt like. I think
it's basically midsummer when they got Chase Adams in, and there's a lot.
We had a few coaches, a couple of teams doing it midsummer. It's like, I don't like.
And from my understanding, from who I've talked to, it's kind of a disarray program right now where they barely had enough to field a team and bring in new. And you've had 3 different coaches over the last 3 years. Now, granted, the first one of that 3 coached for 5 years, and then they retired. Then it became, I forget Peacock, I think. No,
Coach Peacock. That sounds correct.
I think that was his name. And then now Chase Adams. So it's been a revolving door in terms of coaching, and that doesn't breed a lot of confidence in your players. And you have players transfer out, and you're only kind of stuck with really one who is that that main guy. So it's tough to see Pilot Point pulling this one out. But if they're favored, they're favored. If not, I'm not surprised.
All righty, time for our
in a world where dystopia has run rampant, one man with his hair will save humanity. No, that's what that reminds me of. It's kind of like that when every trailer for movies was like, just like a
narrator.
Yeah.
I don't miss narrators in trailers.
Oh, there was one guy who did it. It was awesome. It became hilarious. The stuff of internet memes and everything. Anywho, so as the graphic showed, Argyle v. Lake Dallas. Lee, kick it off.
All right, so I think a lot rides on this game in terms of setting up whichever team wins this game. That game, they still both of the teams still have to play Emerson, and whoever wins this game, that Emerson game is going to be amplified by a lot, by tenfold, because that immediately becomes a district title game, in my opinion. And for Lake Dallas, I think they see this. I think that for them, this is a chance to jump into that next tier of teams. How other people view them, in a sense, right? Because they lost that game last year, and what felt a little bit like a heartbreaking fashion, because they were in that game for so long, and it felt like they had a chance to win that game. In my opinion, I think they did, and Argyle just kind of pulled away towards the end and asserted themselves a little bit. Now for Argyle, it's like the flip side of it. This is like where no, we're still Argyle, like we're the big dog. Yep. And next week versus Emerson, like that's our time to shine. Like we're gonna come out, like we're gonna take care of business here, and if they win this game, they're right back into the thick of it, and us going, okay, maybe like Argyle is,
Yeah,
like they're right back to where, okay, that Melissa game, all that stuff that happened, the Lovejoy game, all that stuff at the beginning of the season, like we might just forget about it if they come out, take care of Lake Dallas, take care of Emerson. Like that's where these next 2 weeks are so big for Argyle and for Lake Dallas. I think all three of these teams between Emerson, Lake Dallas, and Argyle are just hungry for a district title, but for completely different reasons. You got Emerson, they want to assert themselves as a team that's in that same caliber of Argyle and these other 5A teams that are, state title caliber teams. And then Lake Dallas, they want to say, no, like we're here. Like we are, like we can compete with everyone else. Like I think that's what it is for a lot of these teams. And then Argyle, it's like, no, like this is our time to shine. We're the 5A big dog.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. We didn't really, I made a stupid proclamation that we'd have 3 state title teams at this area, Argyle being one of them. And based off the first 2 weeks, we were like, or at least I was like, maybe not. But then you get to go the game against Montgomery 2 weeks ago, and who did they play last week? They didn't play last week. Sorry, not 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And then whoever they beat 2 weeks ago, they've just showed, it's Frisco Memorial. They've just showed that we're still here. We're still Argyle. Don't take us lightly. And then the Lake Dallas, I mean, this is that they're no longer that team that's just trying to get into the playoffs. They don't need the win against Denton this year just to get in and set up a huge loss and by district. They're a legit team, but we just don't know how legit they are because of who they've played. And then you kind of you're going all gas, no brakes for Lake Dallas success. And then they go against Frisco Memorial and they only win by 3 for the second year in a row, struggling against that team who's regressed from last year. So it's kind of like, how good are you, Lake Dallas? This is that litmus test for both programs. And that's what we wrote about on DenCoGridiron.com will we see Argyle still be the cream of the crop of the district, setting up what you said as a potential district title game against Emerson? Or are we going to see Lake Dallas? Are you now that second to top tier team in the district, or are you just you are what you are, and you'll make some noise in the playoffs, but you're not quite there yet? All
right, so real quick, we got Bal Snow the third, who, and this I'm going to let you answer this kind of question.
My own trivia. I like it.
Yeah. Argyle is going to roll the next 2 weeks. He said LD and Emerson have played cupcake schedules. So you can sort of address this, but I kind of want to hear your take on this.
Ooh, okay.
Because Emerson they did play Panther Creek, but they took care of business there. But LD has played a little bit of a weaker schedule. I think I
will say that what's Coach Jason Young would fervently disagree on that notion, but I don't disagree.
Bal Snow is
Snow?
Bal. I hope. Apologies if I'm saying your name wrong or anything. But feel free to let us
know. Commenter Snow, I definitely agree that Lake Dallas has played a bit of a cupcake schedule. In terms of Emerson, I think, they've played Hillcrest, they played Wilson, they rolled Panther Creek. Mount Pleasant isn't a great team, neither is Denton, of course, Creekview up until now. They haven't played with their food. If we're going to kind of talk about cupcake schedules, Lake Dallas, they played with their food last week and it almost got them again against Memorial. So I would give the edge to Emerson there. I'll be interested to see how things shake out with Emerson versus Argyle, regardless of this outcome, because I think Mike Hawkins, the transfer from Allen, is a huge X factor for Emerson this year.
He's a stud.
And that, I mean, again, you're returning everybody from last year as well. So there's a lot to say for having that continuity and growth from your first year to your second year, adding a 4-star quarterback into the mix. And then Argyle, who lost a lot of talent and took it on the chin 2 weeks to start the season. they've also played some cupcakes the last couple of games too. So
I do appreciate this information from Mr. Snow. It will be Argyle's homecoming next week when they play Emerson. So that's good information. I do appreciate. He says they won't lose at home. Appreciate you engaging with us on the show and everything.
We love
it. Always feel free to join in and everything.
That's either
that's great
live.
information. We'll talk a little bit more about that game probably next week. Not going to dive too deep into Emerson Argyle this week, but that's good information to know because I always it's good to know, especially for a team like Argyle who plays very well at home because that is just
outside of the Lovejoy game.
Yeah, outside of the Lovejoy, and then there was
it's just Lovejoy this year.
I always think the Melissa game from years back was
no, last year it was that game where they flipped an 18-point deficit into a 15-point win or something.
For whatever reason, I always think that there
we appreciate the feedback. So if you want to interact with us on the show live, we're about to wrap up this show, but
interact with us live. I've got the comment section here that you can interact with us live, like Mr. Bal Snow did, which we always appreciate. Or you can interact with us after the show at info at DenCoGridiron.com or find us on socials at DenCo Gridiron. I mean, you can find me at Lee Livingston 13.
Go ahead.
Or you at I Am Speeders. He's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm over on Instagram and Twitter. That's where you can find me and most of my videos, video work, whatever. Just DM me, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
So, and kind of wrapping a bow on the Argyle Lake Dallas discussion, where are you leaning in your head on this one?
All right, so real quick, I guess we're going to wrap it up with some predictions. I am leaning. I think it's going to be a closer game than last year. I don't think Argyle is going to run away with it. I think they're going to win, though. I think Argyle is going to win. I think they're coming in hot. I do love the
especially
Falcons.
Off of bye week too.
And I think that's going to help. I would love. I love the Falcons. I love the way they play. I like Coach Young a lot. I think Argyle's coming in. I think they've got their thing figured out, man. Coach Rogers, he's a fantastic coach. They run a fantastic program over there. And I think Lake Dallas is on the way up. I think Coach Young is turning that program into something really, really special. I just don't know if it's quite there yet. I don't know if this is the year they take down Argyle.
That's kind of where I'm leaning to.
I think they're so close, but I don't think this is it. I don't think this is the year.
I agree. I don't think it's going to be a 16-point game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 16-point game either, but I still think Argyle is just a slight bit tier above Lake Dallas. But I always also root for the underdog too. So I want Lake Dallas to succeed, not to piss off any Argyle fans. I know I'm blocked by their football Twitter account.
I love Argyle and everything, but man, I would love to see the underdog go out and do something really special. I'd love to see Cade Bortnam and those guys.
I want to see a high scoring, close game where a game winning field goal from 56 yards has to decide it or something.
That's be sick. I would love that because this is two teams we cover. So I would love if obviously we're not going to be there. But man, these two teams, the uniform matchup is going to be beautiful. So I'm bummed I won't get to see that because both teams, you guys look incredible. You're both gorgeous. Your uniforms.
I will say the Anheuser-Busch looking logo on their helmet. I would rethink that one. When I saw that when it first came through, I was just like,
it's not as good as the wings used to be. The two,
they do have a black one that's wings.
It's wings. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, either way,
red wings.
I don't think, man, either way.
The white helmet with the Anheuser-Busch Eagle logo. Look up Anheuser-Busch and tell me that it doesn't look the same.
Oh, I know what it looks like. It does look like that.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm not going to complain, whatever. Cause they have a good sleek look to it. It's not, there's plenty of worse. There's
worse out there.
Like it's not the most generic looking thing. At least they put a little effort into that. Like it's
sure.
They put I appreciate it. They put effort into their uniforms and their logos. Both teams do, I think. So
yeah, for sure. No, it'll be an aesthetically pleasing. Well, I don't know if you're colorblind, it won't because it's red versus green.
I guess that could be.
But it should be. I think it should be a fun game.
I hope they should do a color rush.
Ooh, that would definitely hurt the color.
Oh my gosh,
that's like the Bills and Jets. You remember
Coach Rogers, Coach Young? If you hear me, I remember people who were colorblind hated it. But man, just send me some pictures. Do the all red, all green. That'd be sick.
It would be something.
Gosh, that'd be so cool.
All right. So again, we went before we wrap up. So we both have Argyle and slight advantage just because the unknown of where Argyle is in its season as well as like Dallas in terms of their cross matchup. So right before we wrap up, we want to give a quick programming note again. We will not be live. We will not be on the air at all on Saturday. You are going to be at ACL in Austin. I will be watching Texas and OU and
watching on my phone
and giving you a whole bunch of hook 'em horn signs. Yeah, see, that's when you know your school is a bum school, when the only thing you can do is throw this.
You want to remind me how many times you've won this game in the last decade or two, or since World War II?
49-0, baby. 49-0.
Cool. You got one game you can hold your hat on.
How many national championships has Oklahoma won since 2000? Since 2000.
Since 2000? No.
0. How many has Texas won? How many have they played in?
Oh, you played it.
And we won one.
Yeah. Well, again, that was a previous decade. Neither school.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so you'll be at ACL.
How many playoffs have you guys been to?
None.
What has your program done in the last decade?
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We're back, baby.
At least OU was relevant. God.
So you'll be in Austin, and then the following Wednesday, a week from today, we will also not be on the air because I will be traveling for work, and I'll be in Temple, or
we'll be back on the 14th.
The 14th.
That's when our show will be back.
We'll be talking week 8 and everything, so we won't have our weekly preview show.
I'll have some videos and stuff I'll be posting on the Instagram,
on
our main Instagram, my Instagram, and the Twitter as well. I've been working on a couple short hopefully they feel like short films or whatever from a couple games. So that if you're wondering where the Colony versus Ryan video is, if you were at that game, that video has been taking me a while because I really, really enjoyed that game and got a ton of great videos. So I'm still finishing that up and color grading, all the dorky video stuff. And, you probably don't.
No, I mean, like
that video to me is awesome. I loved it. So that all the Colony players, I appreciate all the stuff you guys did, yelling in the camera and stuff. It just kind of worked out. And all the Ryan players, I got great video of you in that particular video. I know the game didn't turn out the way you necessarily wanted it, but I got some cool video from you guys because you guys are awesome too. All the players, thank you for doing cool stuff because I like getting video of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, as much video as you take, just raw footage, and having to cut that up and find a great moments to intersect with one another. I greatly appreciate the work you put into putting those together, whether it's the shorts, it's the longs, it's over one player, whatever the case might be. I think
what I've learned is it's having a fun, being able to do like, I don't know. It's what I want to do. You know, I want to work in film and everything. And I just, the ability to go out and do Texas high school football and be in the atmosphere and be around what I love. Yeah. I don't necessarily watch as much football on the weekends anymore because I get exhausted from watching it on my computer all the time, but man, I love it. I love going to the games on Friday night, and it's because of all you fans and Texas high school football people.
Fans, players,
you guys
coaches.
make it so much fun, and thank you for letting me be on the sidelines and stuff. It's the best, and I try not to run into you guys while you're coaching and doing stuff. And I don't want to break my camera, but I almost got run over in the Panther Creek game.
Oh, really?
Oh, got real cool. Got real close getting nailed by the ball and then some dudes running on the sideline. Never gotten that close. Scared me, but camera didn't break. So That's it for us, I think, today. We've got all the programming notes and everything, but you know where to find us. That's going to do it for us. Love you guys. See you in a couple weeks.
Week and a half. Who's counting?